All right, so when you have a redox reaction, it can be in acidic conditions or it can be in basic conditions. And like I said, this will be indicated somehow. So all the steps are the same except there's 2 additional steps if it's in a basic condition. So if it's in a base, what you're going to do is you're going to add hydroxide to both sides to cancel out the H pluses. And then at that point, besides the electrons canceling, you also are going to cancel out any extra waters and hydroxide. So if you have 4 waters on one side and 2 waters on the other side, what ends up happening is those 2 waters end up disappearing. So, and I'm going to show you that in an example. But everything else is pretty much the same. All right, so let's look at this reaction. This reaction is aluminum plus permanganate equals manganese oxide and aluminum hydroxide. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to do the same thing we've been doing. We are going to write the half reactions. So we need to decide what's being oxidized, what's being reduced. So aluminum here by itself should be 0. Oxygen will be 2, -2. And overall, this needs to equal -1. Well, there are 4 oxygens, so that's -8. So what plus -8 will give me a -1? That should be a +7. And since there's only 1 manganese, each one is +7. All right, so now we've got oxygen, which is -2. There are 2 of those, so that's going to be a -4 plus some number will give me 0. So each one has to be a +4. And now we're going to look at this one. Well, hydroxide as a whole will equal -1. The whole compound here will be a -1 charge too. Or you can look at this way too. Okay, so hydrogen's +1, oxygen is -2, which gives you a -1 for each one. And you've got 4 of those, so 4 times the -1 gives me a -4. So each hydroxide is -1, and you've got 4 of those, that's -4. So -4 plus what number will give me a -1? Well, it should be +3. All right, so when I look at this, let's see what's being oxidized and what's being reduced. So my reduction happens when my number goes down. So if I look at manganese, it goes from a +7 to a +4. Okay, for the oxidation reaction, well, aluminum went from a 0 to +3, so the oxidation number went up, so it's aluminum here. And of course, oxygen stays the same, hydrogen's fine. So our reduction reaction happens with manganese, our oxidation happens with aluminum. So when we look at manganese, it's MnO4 on the side, permanganate, and then on the other side it becomes MnO2. For aluminum, well, it's just Al on this side, and then on the product side it becomes aluminum, or this complex right here, the -1 charge. So don't forget the charges. All right, so those are our 2 half reactions. So now we're going to look at each one individually. All right, so let's look at this one first. All right, so I don't have any extra elements in here. The manganese balance each other. So now I just need to worry about the oxygens because right now I've got 4 on this side and 2 on this side. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to add water to balance out the O's. Okay, so I've got 4 oxygens here. I've got 2 on this side, so I need 2 more oxygens here. So each water is 1 oxygen, so I'm going to add 2 waters. And now I need to deal with the hydrogens because now I've added hydrogen to the mix. So I've got 4 hydrogens on this side. So I need 4 on this side, so I'm going to add 4 H pluses. So at this point, I need to look at adding hydroxide. Okay, so now I'm going to look at this. This is what I just wrote out. So now I'm going to add hydroxide. This is the part that's different. You're going to add hydroxide to both sides to cancel out the H pluses. Okay, so this is going to create water. So whenever I add hydrogen to hydroxide, I get water molecules. It's an acid-base reaction. So what happens, because it's in a basic solution, these hydroxides will bond to the H pluses to create water. All right, so now let's do that. Let's add hydroxide. So we've got 4 H pluses, 1 permanganate. All right, so now I'm going to add 4 hydroxides to this side to cancel out these 4 H pluses. So for every 1 H plus that you add, you have to add another hydroxide. But I'm going to do that to both sides. This is the part where people will mess up because they will forget to go back to the other side and add the hydroxides. All right, so now it creates water. So that's going to be 4 H2Os. 2 waters, and 4 hydroxides. All right, so now I can cancel any extra water that I have. So on this side I have 4, on this side I have 2. So really, overall, the net would actually be 2 waters on this side because these 2 waters will end up canceling. So I have 2 waters here. And the hydroxides don't cancel on this side. All right, so now I'm going to look at the charge and balance with the electrons. So I have a charge of 0 here, I have -1 here, 0 here, and -4 here, so 4 times -1. So I need to make this side more negative, so I'm going to do that by adding 3 electrons, because that'll give me 3, -3 plus a -3, or -1 would be a -4, so I've got a -4 on this side too. All right, so now that I've done this with this equation, I'm going to do the same thing with my other half reaction. All right, so I've just got aluminum and then oxygen and hydrogen on the side, so I need to start by adding water to balance out the O's. All right, so now I've got 4 oxygens on this side, so I need to have 4 water molecules on this side to balance out the O's. All right, so now I've also introduced hydrogen here, so I've got 4 times 2. That's 8 hydrogens, but I've also got hydrogen over here. So I've got 4 times 1. So really I have 4 hydrogens already over here, so I need to add 4 more to this side. All right, so now I've got my hydrogens balanced, I've got my oxygens balanced, so we're going to go to the next step. Oh, that should be a plus right there. All right, so now I'm going to add hydroxide to both sides to cancel out these 4 H pluses. So this is the part that's different. All right, so I've got aluminum plus 4 waters. That makes this plus 4 H pluses. So now I'm going to add hydroxide to both sides to get rid of this. So hydroxide will also be added to this side. Don't forget to do that. So now I'm going to make the water. So remember, hydrogen plus hydroxide, we're going to produce water. So that should be 4 water molecules here. All right, so now any extra water I can cancel out. I've got water on both sides here, so I can actually just get rid of that. So now I've got 4 hydroxides plus aluminum produces this complex. Don't forget the negative sign. See how easy it is to do that. All right, so now I'm going to balance my charge by adding electrons. So I've got 4 times -1, so that's -4 here, 0 here, and then a -1 here. So I need to make this side more negative by adding electrons. So I need another -3, so 3 electrons here. All right, so now I've got, my charges are balanced. I've got rid of my water, so now I can go to the next step and look at combining them. Okay, so now here are 2 half reactions. If I need to, I'm going to multiply by a number to make sure the electrons are equal on both sides. So I've got 3 electrons here, 3 electrons here. So I'm going to, well, I don't need to multiply by anything because the electrons already cancel. Since they already cancel, I'm also going to look to see if anything else cancels here. So I believe this is actually MnO2. Yes, that's MnO2 right there. All right, so now I've got 4 hydroxides on this side and I got 4 hydroxides on this side. That will also end up canceling. So those things will cancel. All right, so now I can just put them together. So 2 waters plus permanganate plus the aluminum produces this. And this. All right, so now we just need to check and make sure our charges are balanced. So we have a 0 here, a -1 here, 0 here, a -1 here, and a 0 there. So the charge is balanced. Hallelujah, you're done. Okay, so now let's look at another one. So again, if you're watching this, I advise that you pause it, try it on your own, and then watch it. All right, so now we're going to write the half reactions. So we have to decide what's being oxidized and reduced first. So Cl2, that's just going to be a 0. Potassium is a +1. And permanganate here is a -1. This is a polyatomic ion. So the whole polyatomic ion here is going to be -1. Oxygen will be -2. So -2 times 4 will be 8. So -8 plus some number will give me a -1 charge. So remember, we're looking at the permanganate here. So 7 plus 7 would give me that. All right, so now let's look on this side. Oxygen is just going to be -2. There's 2 of those, so it's -4. So this has to be a +4. And then for oxygen, it's -2. And the whole thing has to equal -1. So -2 plus what number will give me a -1? That should be a +1. All right, so now let's figure out what's being oxidized, what's being reduced. So for the reduction, which one has an oxidation number that goes down? And that looks like it's manganese, because it goes from a 7 to a 4 here. So for oxidation, which one goes up? That'll be chlorine, because it went from a 0 to a +1. All right, so now let's see. On this side, manganese is potassium permanganate. And on the product side, it's MnO2. Okay, so now for the oxidation, chlorine is this on the reactant side, and on the product side, it is this. All right, so now we have our two half reactions. We're going to go to the next step. We're going to look at each one separately first. So let's look at this one first. All right, so, and it doesn't matter which one you do first, I just chose this one. All right, so now we're going to balance the other elements. So, chlorine is not balanced here. So we've got 2 chlorines on the reactant side and only 1 on this side. So let's balance that first, put a 2 there. Always make sure you're checking to do that too. Look at everything before you start adding oxygens and hydrogens. All right, so now chlorine's balanced. I need to fix the oxygen. So I've got 1 on this side, so I'm going to add a water molecule here. So 1 oxygen on this side, but I've added hydrogen now. So now I'm going to add 2 hydrogen ions to this side. 2 here, 2 here, 2 oxygens, 2 oxygen, or 1 oxygen. Oop. Just kidding. Got an error. Okay, so I have 2 oxygens on this side, so I needed to add 2 water molecules, which changes my hydrogen. So that's actually going to be 4 hydrogens. So I had 2 oxygens, 2 oxygens, 4 hydrogens, 4 hydrogens. All right, so now let's go to the next step, which is to add the hydroxide. All right, so now I'm going to add hydroxide to both sides to cancel out these hydrogen ions. So 4 hydroxides on this side. Don't forget the other side. All right, so now let's look at the water. So this is going to give me 4 water molecules here. And if I've got extra water, I can cancel it out. All right, so I've got 4 on this side, 2 on this side. So really, I can cancel these 2. So it should be 2 waters on this side. Okay, so now I need to look at the charges. So I've got -4 here, 0 here, -2 here, and a 0 here. So I've got -4 on this side, a -2. I need to make this more negative by adding electrons. So I'm going to add 2 electrons here, which will give me a -2. So that means -4, -4. It's balanced at that point, so now I can look at my next reaction. All right, so let's look at this one. So first thing, balance your other elements first. So I've got K and then no K on this side, so I got to fix that. So I've got 1 K on this side, so I should have a potassium ion on this side as well. Manganese is balanced. Now I can look at the oxygens. I've got 2 on this side, or 4 on this side, 2 on this side, so I need 2 more on this side. So I'm going to add 2 water molecules here. So that's 2 oxygens, 2, and so that's 4 and 4 on this side. But I'm adding hydrogen now, so I need to go back and add hydrogen. So that's 2 times 2, so I need 4. All right, so now I've got 4 on this side, 4 on this side. Now I can go to the next step. All right, so now I'm going to add hydroxide to get rid of the H pluses. Got 4 hydrogen ions here, so I add 4 hydroxides to both sides. All right, so now that creates water. All right, so 2. So now if any extra waters cancel, I will get rid of them. So I've got 2 waters on this side, 4 on this side. So overall, I should have 2 waters on this side. All right, so now I've got this. I need to check my charges. So I have 0, 0. I have a positive 1 here, 0, and then I have a negative 4 here. So overall, I've got a negative 3 charge on this side. So I need to make this side more negative, so I will add 3 electrons here. So that will give me a negative 3. That has a negative 3 on this side. So now my charges are balanced. So now I can look at combining the reactions. All right, so here are my 2 reactions. So let's see if my electrons cancel. I've got 3 on this side, 2 on this side, so that means they don't cancel. So I need to multiply to get an even or equal numbers. So 3 and a 2, looks like I'm going to have to multiply both of them. So this one will get multiplied by 3, this one will get multiplied by 2. So I'm going to multiply this one by 3, so that's going to be 4 times 3, 12 hydroxides, plus 3 chlorines produces 6 of these, and 6 waters, and also 6 electrons. All right, so now 2 times 3 will give me 6 electrons, plus 4 waters, plus 2 potassium permanganates, and 2 potassium ions, 2 of these, and 8 hydroxides. All right, so now my electrons cancel, so let's see if anything else cancels. We've got 12 hydroxides on this side, 8 on this side. So that will cancel the 8 here, and they'll leave me with 12 minus 8, 4. So that's not going to cancel. What about the water? Okay, I've got 4 waters on this side, 6 on this side, so that will cancel this, and then leave me with 2 waters here instead. And everything else does not cancel, so I can put my equations together. So I've got 4 hydroxides plus 3 chlorines plus 2 of these, all right, so those are all my reactants. So now 6 ClO minuses, 2 waters, plus 2 potassiums, and 2 of these. Okay, so now double check your charges. So you've got negative 4 here, 0 here, 0 here, and negative 6 here, 0 here, positive 2 here, and a 0 here. So negative 6 plus 2 would give me negative 4, and negative 4 on this side. They cancel, so that is my complete balanced reaction. So when you're doing this, it's very important that you do it slowly, carefully, follow all the steps. All right.